the trade-off that I like to call of whether or not you have your own family as, your own biological family and your own family unit versus, in essence, what I describe as like marrying the church. So I feel like God has provided in that way, but that was the big uncertainty, was whether or not that would be a fulfilling thing for me. And because I grew up in a big family, it's a natural thing. I thought I would have a big family. And now I have a really, really, really big family, but it's not, the same thing as like a wife and children. It's, thousands and thousands of people.
Anybody can be spiritual, but what connects you back to religion is community. And if you find the right community, you can really find yourself digging deeper into spiritual connections. So
this is what I like about the history of like Eritrean migration into America, is like wherever it is, they'll find their like religious communities. And since a lot of the early people did practice Catholicism, there are like Catholic communities, Eritrean Catholic communities.
I'm the pastor of St. Eugene Parish in Asheville, North Carolina, and also the administrator of Asheville Catholic School. It was a bit part of the culture in my family that we grew up going to church. Probably a big turning point for me was when I was around 15, my youngest sister was born. So again, I'm the oldest of 6 children. And my parents asked me for the honor to be her godparent. We joke maybe they were running out of people to ask, but it was a really special moment for me to kind of embrace my faith even at a young age, that I was going to somehow be responsible in helping her life of faith. So it was something very natural, very comfortable, and even at Charlotte Catholic High School, we would go to church on Sunday, and I would learn about religion even in school.
I'm Charlie Smith, he, they pronouns. I'm Christian, but I was Catholic for most of my life. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, but now I'm more under like the Methodist category. So I went to 2 different private Catholic schools, and so that pretty much shaped it a lot because my parents worked a lot, so mainly my childhood was centered around school. Back before I knew I was trans, I wanted to be like the first female priest. I was pretty into theology when I was younger. I really liked going to church.
Religiously, I identify as Giz Catholic, or Eritrean Giz Catholic. It kind of represents like our cultural practices within like the bounds of Catholicism. Roman Catholicism in America, they'll have a mass for like an hour, right? And we'll have ours for 3 hours. We'll do our processions in Giz, which is like our equivalent to Latin. And Americans, or even like others that practice in Rome, will do it either in Latin or English. Many of our songs are either Tigrinya orientated or Giz orientated. The family will wake up in the morning, we'll eat breakfast like a real Eritrean breakfast. We'll have kitchafutfut or injera like something, and then we're drinking tea. Everyone's getting ready. And also the clothes that I wear is different. So for the Eritrean Mass, I'll wear like traditional Tigrinya clothes, which is like this white clothes. Everyone's getting ready, and the women are getting ready the same like traditional clothes. And then we all go together, and then we'll leave together. Or we'll go, and then maybe there's like an event or something with the Eritrean church.
We've seen a lot of growth, which is something that we're very happy about, because the church has evolved a lot in the last 14 years. It's about 40% Hispanic. It's a multicultural, diverse community. The outreach is tremendous, particularly to, the people in need in our community. We're in a particular time and place, right? So Asheville has its unique vibe and culture. And we try to embrace that. We try to not run from that. You know, I think one of the real strengths of Asheville is its diversity and its openness. And that's something that the Catholic Church can learn a lot from. So we try to engage and open ourselves in a way that is welcoming to everyone. And we've seen that come alive in very powerful ways that someone can feel at home where they normally wouldn't feel at home in a Catholic church. But we try to create those conditions at St. Eugene where, you know, if you're looking for a sacrament or if you want to come to church, that you have a place here at this table. I think a lot of people have shared with me their experience with the Catholic Church has not been so positive. It's been kind of like us versus them. And we try to get away from that here, where it's us. And, you know, that makes it a big difference from a lot of other people's experiences of Catholic churches. But again, something that I think is a Christ-like way of handling things and in a way that we can always do better on.
I was like 14, I was questioning if I was queer. And then when I was about like 15, I saw in like the Catechism that like it was like very strictly a sin to be gay. But like, I don't know, Catholics are kind of weird because it's like you can't, as a Catholic, discriminate against queer people. But like you do feel bad for them because they're ultimately going to hell because they cannot participate in the act of creation. So yeah, no, that kind of started my distaste for Catholicism. But I always really had a connection with God, like spiritually. It was kind of like a one constant in my life. So
one of the problems is people will look to like the actions of the institution of the church, and they'll be like, oh, this is why you shouldn't follow the church, or this is why. And when other people do that, you kind of generalize all Catholics, because it's like, yeah, like they did that, but also like Eritrea, this small country is we also have Catholic adherence that dates before European involvement. So me personally, there's like a separation between the institution and like the actual like church, like the people that do good. I look to many South Americans that fought against dictatorial regimes that believed in liberation philosophy. A lot of priests that would fight against like oppression and prejudice and all that.
I have a friend of mine who's being ordained, and he's being ordained this June, and he found that, you know, his ancestors, his great-great-great-grandparents or whatever, were owned as slaves by the Catholic Church in Louisiana. Well, that's a fact. We have to acknowledge that injustice that happened. And, you know, you can't just, you know, ignore, oh, well, now, you know, we're going to not talk about that. No, we should honor that history, the good and the bad, and recognize that God is calling us to more, to be people of faith, people of justice, and people of mercy.
Jesus himself is very radical, and I feel like I see like a radical Jesus. I try to apply it to my life of radical kindness, radical grace. And I think this is in part due to like religious leaders focusing on like the holiness of Jesus and the holiness of God. But I think a lot of people forget about the very human side of him that existed. That willingness
to just go up and to sacrifice yourself and like to die is such a, like historically, when you look at people that like fight against oppression, Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, like knowing that they're about to die, or like telling people like, hey, like something is not right, like right before they die, and then them just like, okay, I'm gonna accept it, and accepting death, or knowing every day that they could die, but Jesus, Malcolm X, all these other figures could have just walked away and like been safe, but at the end of the day they were like, okay, I'm gonna go out and sacrifice for what I believe in.
I see God in like the faces of my friends, and when someone is kind to me, those like little moments of kindness we experience every day, it feels like God's work.
My uncle was a priest, and he used to talk about that, like, darkness comes when you become too self-important, and light comes when you realize that it's God's work that we're participating in. And that is something that I try to keep in mind as well.